Welcome to the next installment of the Train Vicar. I'm on a train near Bern and just about to pass the Swiss Federal Office for Transport. This is the government agency that looks after railways, cable cars, lake shipping, buses and all public transport in Switzerland. And here we are passing right by the very modern and energy efficient building of the Swiss Federal Office for Transport. In Switzerland, other government agencies in the transport field are the Federal Roads Office and the Federal Office for Spatial Development. All these together with a few other federal offices are coordinated by the Federal Department of the Environment, Transport, Energy and Communications. Well, I previously worked at the Federal Office for Transport for a year, specifically in the shipping section. But I got to know other areas of operation a bit as well. My shipping colleagues complained that railways were getting disproportionate attention in Switzerland. Some thought that the Swiss supported railways even when it did not make economic sense, at least on the basis of just individual lines. So a few years ago it was determined to close the 3.7 kilometer long Weissenstein tunnel, particularly because it's on a lightly used railway line. Well, the local population campaigned against it, assisted by railway supporters and politicians. And the Swiss overall were persuaded to keep this railway line open. Because how could you rob communities of the railway line, particularly one that's connected to such good recreation opportunities? And so now the Weissenstein tunnel is closed, but only for 2 years, while upgrades and repairs are taking place. So has emotion won over economics? Well, maybe, but moreover it recognizes that this is part of the national railway system, and this decision recognizes the value of rail way beyond economics and also for community building and for access to recreation. Some of my colleagues at the Swiss Federal Office for Transport thought that the Swiss focus on railways was in part because railway fans were disproportionately effective in Switzerland. While the number of really serious railway enthusiasts in Switzerland is probably not that much higher than in comparative countries, there are many who really like trains. To this day, for example, model railways are a source of fascination to young and old alike. Many people do recognize the most important locomotive classes and multiple units in Switzerland. And of course, the Swiss like riding trains. Indeed, trains are a source of national pride in Switzerland. Now, my colleagues who worked on the railway side of the Federal Office for Transport, they recognized that the support for railways in Switzerland went beyond common international practice. But they justified that support not only with the overall benefits of the system, but also with a clear wish of the population to have a great railway system. It is this focus on the railway system that has given Switzerland such an effective public transport system overall. Railway enthusiasts are in part to thank not only for the excellent Swiss railway system, but also the overall great public transport that Switzerland has got. And this in turn makes the cities so much more pleasant and the landscape more beautiful.
Nächster Halt, Ittingen.
But not all railway enthusiasts are actually supportive of a good railway system. In a few other countries like New Zealand, I've met quite a few railway enthusiasts that like old trains, and maybe they're even nostalgic about the good old days, but they don't think that railways and trains can really have a contribution towards a modern transport system. Well, I find that a bit odd, because if you're really fascinated by trains, why wouldn't you advocate for their increased use? I could understand that enthusiasts of old threshing machines, for example, would not advocate for their continued or even increased use on farms. Those old machines are generally not as efficient as modern farming equipment. But railways, to this day, railways are one of the most efficient and pleasant means of transport. And I think it's the responsibility of those who really like them to point their society towards this beautiful form of transport that can bring so many benefits. These benefits occur beyond the easily measured economic factors. As the train vicar, I want to relate this to faith. I have met many Christians who are quite happy to have a personal faith, but they don't think that it changes how they live. They also often think that faith is nice for them, but not really relevant for others. That's odd. Don't you know that it is your responsibility to give the goodness of Christ to others? By living out the Christian faith and sharing it with others, Christians can make the world a better place.